It's Hey Coach with Tim Simpson, Rashard Collins, and Jamal Mondane. Three coaches and friends talk about sports, life, and everything in between.
Hey everybody, how you doing? You already know what time it is. It is that time for another episode of the Hey Coach podcast. I am one of the 1/3 of your Hey Coach team.
Hey.
I am Coach Tim Simpson. The other 1/3 is joining me right there right now. And that is Jay Mondane. We're working on some other technical issues with Rashard. He is here. We're just trying to get his audio and everything working. But you know, we're gonna plug along. Jay, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Ready to go. NFL season has been crazy these first 2 weeks. I'm doing a live show for y'all during the Bears-Packers game, so you know I love y'all if I'm on here doing a live telecast during the game. So I'm still repping though, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I see you repping that. I see you repping the squad. I was gonna throw mine on, but I was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna stick with my coaching shirt. You know, just kind of go with it. You know, I don't be out there too much. It is what it is, baby. Yeah, NFL season's back. College football's back in action. But we're gonna start off with some other news at this point in time, and that is the Las Vegas Aces win their first title. It's Becky Hammon's first title coming there, coaching there. She had a great stint as an assistant coach with the Spurs, but it's the first title. You know, they end up winning the series 3-1, I believe, and they were able to you know, kind of walk away with that. And I'm gonna be honest, Jay, those ladies look pretty tough the entire playoffs. What's your thoughts on that?
Hey, look, all I got to say is A'ja Wilson, man. A'ja Wilson, she's probably the best player in basketball right now. I mean, some Seattle Storm fans may say Brittany Stewart is, you know, but I'm going with A'ja Wilson. I mean, MVP, Defense Player of the Year, like she give you whatever you need. You know, they basically roll her to the end. She got him a ring. With Becky Hammon, obviously they had the team the last couple of years. They just needed that coach to get them over the hump.
Yeah.
And they ended up beating Connecticut, you know, 3-1. So it wasn't really even a close series. So congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces. Got another Vegas team that's got another world championship.
Yeah, this is very true. So I mean, it's cool. I think it's really good. I've loved Becky Hammon for years. I mean, I followed her as a player. I was so happy and thrilled when she got the assistant coaching job. One of the assistant coaching jobs for the San Antonio Spurs, because it's not because she's a woman, it's because of the fact that she's got great basketball knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that on display as she came in her first year and got those girls playing got them women playing some different basketball.
For sure.
And they were able to do their thing. So I'm extremely happy for her and the Vegas family. So yeah, it's great. You know, it's great. Congratulations, Vegas Aces, and hopefully you have many more to come. Now, I'm gonna ask you this question. We talked about this, I think, on one of the previous shows, but we talked about one thing that could really, maybe truly help, like the WNBA. You know, because we talked about the Brittany Griner situation and why that became such a big deal, because she have to go out of country to make more money.
Right.
Do you think something like we're kind of doing? I mean, that we're doing right. We're talking about them. You know, I mean, yeah, ESPN is going to give them their just due and this like that. But could this be one of the perfect places or outlets to be able to try to help change some of those hearts and minds when it comes to this women's professional sport?
Well, for women's sport, it's just because there's no popularity, because we don't know the individual players. Like we talked about in past episodes, the reason NBA is so unique and it works is because Adam Silver and before him David Stern, they did a really good job of promoting the player. Like we know they made it a global game, number one, in the early 90s. That was David Stern's
Yeah.
goal. That was his goal, to make the NBA game a global game, make basketball a global game, and to highlight the individual athlete. So when you have ambassadors for your league that are great, winning championships, it's easy to kind of pour that in. You know, everybody loves following winners. So the WNBA, what they need to do is they need to kind of ride the coattails of an Asia Wilson. Like, she won a championship. I think she's got gold medals for the women's team USA. Like,
Mhm.
if she starts getting these endorsement deals and, you know, start doing these individual things, I think that draws more attention. Then you get more women and even little girls wanting to be like Asia Wilson. Like, the best thing that could have ever happened to the NBA back in '92, the Dream Team, them going over
Yes.
to Barcelona, and right after Michael Jordan wins his second championship, now they got a whole side of a building with a poster of Michael Jordan, like making the game global. You know,
Yeah.
what that does for your brand, for your product, is if it's a global game, now you got countries like China, you got Russia, Europe, like you got all these bigger countries that have more people that follow basketball. I think they need to try
Yes.
to do that with women. You know, even if they're doing hand in hand, you know, do commercials with Steph Curry and Asia Wilson or LeBron, you know, use our ambassadors in the NBA with the WNBA ambassadors and kind of bridge that gap until they can stand on their own. I think that'll
Right.
help. I think that'll help the game. But as far as podcasting, absolutely. You know, the more we talk about it, the more it brings recognition and it brings, you know, people's eyes to the sport. You know, the women are great players. You know, they're champions in their own right. Obviously, you have to play at a high level to play in the WNBA, so they
Yes.
should get the same respect. But with that respect, people only see the dollar, you know, the power of the dollar, but they actually work just as hard as everybody else. So just got to continue to push that narrative forward that they're just as important as the NBA, and, you know, these players deserve our eyes
Yeah.
just as much as any other sport.
Now, I would say if they would have took that approach back when my girl Cheryl Swoops
Right.
was getting it in, and they won. I think they won 4 straight, didn't they? 4 straight. And now you talk about
Cheryl Swoops?
winners. Hey man, yeah. But you talk about winners. They had a perfect opportunity then, but the thing was, like you said, you never really saw them anywhere else.
Yeah.
We had the exact same conversation when it came to baseball. You know, and we talked about, when's the last time you really actually seen a baseball player in advertisement? Like I can say now recently, it's been Dairy Queen. So yeah, they're going to Dairy Queen. So I guess Dairy Queen's a new thing. Hot eats, cool treats. But anyways, but I think that as soon as you said that, I was like, wait a minute. Yes, that's true. Everybody wants to follow a winner. They had a 4-time champion, and they weren't. It wasn't like they were playing close games.
No, they were destroying teams in the WNBA infancy. They were the best team by far. It was them, and then like the New York Liberty were good with. They had Teresa Weatherspoon and Rebecca Lobo, but other than that, they was waxing everybody. Yeah,
they look like the Harlem Globetrotters playing against the Generals.
But think about it; it's parallel to the Celtics. In the beginning of the NBA, you had George Mikan in the Lakers, Minneapolis Lakers, everybody in the 50s, and then you had the Celtics in the 60s. So it's the same thing in the WNBA. It was a dominant team, a new brand of basketball, and they started beating everybody. So same trajectory, is just the money's different now, and there's more avenues to advertise and endorse players.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that they're able to get that fixed, that our women are not having to go overseas to deal with some stuff like that, and they can play within the United States. Now, if it's they're younger players, college players, and they have the international teams over there because they're not getting an opportunity maybe to go play in the WNBA, they can go over there and do that. Most of the time, they just live over there. They're not traveling back and forth. So I think that just makes it tough. So I just hope it all works out and everything's good to go. So let's transition into college football.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really want to talk about is what Nebraska has done since they let old boy go after 3 games. But they end up replacing the other coach with the interim coach, Mickey Joseph, and is the first black head coach in Nebraska history. That's cool. I mean, that's really cool. What are some of your thoughts? And I wish we could have had Rashard on here right now. But what are some of your thoughts on what's going on there in Nebraska?
The fact that it took to 2022 to have a black coach in Nebraska, I mean, just tells you how far we are still from, giving everybody their shot. I don't think it had anything to do with being qualified, why they didn't hire. It's a good old boys club, and college football, college sports in general is about boosters and about people that generate the revenue for that university. Nebraska just happens to be predominantly white. So of course, they're going to have more revenue and more boosters and alumni from Nebraska, and they get the coaches they want. Usually they go with the coaches that went or the players that played for them to coach them, like Scott Frost. Obviously, they see that didn't work. Mickey Joseph happened to be on the staff, kind of stepped up in an interim role. So now he's got an opportunity. So it goes two ways. You got one side of it is like about time, and then you got the other side where it's like, all right, now you got your opportunity. You got to play the hand you're dealt. You're not really in the best situation, but if you could show that you can motivate these kids and you can get the best out of them, maybe it opens up another opportunity at another university. Maybe you don't stay at Nebraska. Maybe it's a stepping stone to go somewhere else. So I'm sure he's looking at it that way. Obviously, if you saw the game or even looked at the game online yesterday, it didn't matter. Oklahoma just kind of ran over them anyway. The biggest thing is, if we're being completely honest, is they just don't have enough talent. Like, Nebraska's just not good. They're going to lose those games against big-name teams. They don't have enough good players. But for Mickey Joseph, there's an opportunity for him. So congratulations to Mickey Joseph for getting the opportunity. But now it's time to make the most of it, get the best out of these kids, and maybe you can stay or it moves you to a better place or another direction of coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you on that. And, it's funny because I kind of had a similar situation in my coaching career. I was coaching at the middle school and ended up, my coaching mentor had called me and was like, hey, there's a local high school here. It's a smaller school that's needing a coach. You should go apply for it.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, okay. I mean, I was happy where I was at the middle school. I love those kids that we were coaching, and I could see them progressing from middle school, into high school. So I was like, well, I'll go ahead and give it a shot. And I got, went in, interviewed, and I got the job. Now, it's funny how they kind of leave out certain parts of the information, right? I got the job,
sure,
because no one else had applied. They were 3 weeks out from their season or starting school. They needed to have a coach in place. And the thing was, they already had somebody in mind that they were going to bring in the following year. They just needed to bring somebody in for that year. And so I find that, of course, I found it out, towards the end of the season. And I was like, you know what? And one of the guys was like, I hope you're not too upset. We just want to move on. We wanted this coach, but he was still on a coaching contract with the current school. I was like, look, I got a great experience out of it. Because of that, it was one of the things that helped be the deciding factor when I took over the Kansas City Soul team, which you played on. Because I coached and played in the Army. And then, coaching, having all those victories, playing in middle school, and then having that opportunity to coach at a high school, it's one of those things to play in. So you can look at it however you want to. People can make it, about race if they want to. People can make it about this and that. What you have to do, especially if you're the person in the situation, always, like you alluded to, look at it as an opportunity, because it can be a stepping stone from somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? This could be the opportunity. They see him. Well, the thing is, I think it's probably one of the best opportunities, maybe even the best situation, because if you can, because like you said this, you said, he's not coming into the best situation. So if you can manage that situation, make it maybe slightly better, you just don't make it worse. But if you can at least handle yourself and manage that situation, that might be something that elevates you even further over somebody else in another opportunity. What do you think about that?
No, I agree to that for sure. Like we talked about, it's the opportunity. There's a bunch of different ways to look at it. you could take the route of, this the first, it's history. On a positive note, it is history being made. We got the first black coach in Nebraska history in any sport, by the way, at the University of Nebraska, not just football. So any basketball, golf, whatever, women's sports as well. So that's you can look at that as well as a stepping stone. But also, like you alluded to, the opportunity is there for him to, it's a different voice in the locker room. A lot of times, kids or players, being a former player and from coaching as well, know that if you lose the locker room, that's pretty much it. And it sounds like Scott Frost lost the locker room. These players just want to hear a different voice. So hopefully they're motivated and can play for him. I'm sure they'll give him all they got. They probably just don't have the talent to win games. So we'll see what happens. But again, the opportunity is there for him to show what he can do with the team, with the program, and if he can actually run a program, be a CEO per se of a program, and then move on somewhere else.
Yeah. But unfortunately, like you said, they ended up losing to the number 6 team, Oklahoma. They lost 49-14.
Right. Like you got a new job. Congratulations. Your reward is you're the number 16 in the country.
Yeah, there you go. Have a good one, buddy.
All right. Good luck with that.
Another game that I thought I already knew this team was going to win the game, but I thought that depending on what goes on, this team could give some issues. But yeah, they really didn't. That's Georgia going against Gonzaga.
Oh.
I mean not Gonzaga. Georgia going against South Carolina. Sorry. So yeah, that game was a little ugly. The final score was 48-7. What were your thoughts on that game?
Look, I told y'all in week 1 they were ranked preseason number 2 and pissed them off.
They mad.
They're about to run through everybody. They're like, we are the national champions. I'm sure they looked at the polls and was like, why the hell are we second? We beat everybody. Everybody everybody was on our schedule, we beat. Alabama beat us last year, but we beat them in the championship. So we literally beat everybody. And we beat them handily. So they're coming back, man. Look, I'm not surprised. Their spreads are going to be ridiculous until they play ranked teams, of course. But I don't see anybody in the SEC that can beat them. Like, it may be some teams that can give them a game, give them a half. Like, Arkansas is good enough to give them a good half. Alabama may make the game ugly, but I still probably take Georgia over them depending on where they play. So, I mean, I wasn't surprised by what they did to South Carolina. I think they're going to run over everybody they play until they get to the SEC championship.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Just looking at that team just look at the roster, man. They're some grown men. They look like the high school.
A lot of pros on that team.
Yeah, they look like a high school varsity team going against the 6th grade intramural team out there. Sometimes, I mean, them dudes is just they just big. Like, I mean, and the thing is, they've got great heart, and you've seen it. It doesn't seem like they get really rattled under pressure. And I think the coaching staff. I think the coaching staff's done a wonderful job with them, and I think the players are doing a great job. And I just hopefully maybe they raise another trophy at the end of this year. Well, I really don't want to talk about this guy. I'll give the score. I don't really care about it. But Alabama beating Louisiana Monroe 63-7. But I did tell you, I told you if they let them get over 10, I wasn't gonna say nothing else about Alabama for the rest of the year. So they heard me. You heard. I know you heard me. I know you heard me. So it's all good, baby. So good job. Way to keep that up. But we talked about that cupcake. They always seem to get a cupcake game here and there. Now I'm gonna tell you a game that was really good that I enjoyed watching, and that was the NC State Texas Tech game. Finally, that game ended up being 27-14. But that game had some moments there.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that last week. That game,
they had some moments there. The NC State quarterback did great for him. Now, I can't remember the Texas Tech quarterback, but he struggled a little bit. But I'm gonna tell you what my real problem was. My problem was kind of more with the clock management that was going on late night game, because they were still. I mean, Texas Tech was. I mean, North Carolina State was playing great defense. Their defense was playing outstanding. But they still. I mean, Texas Tech was still moving the ball on them. And they weren't out.
Smith, you talking about?
Yeah, Donovan Smith. But they were moving the ball, but they just. It's like then all of a sudden, with I think it was like maybe three minutes left of the game, the coach pulls out the starting quarterback. I mean, you're really only down, basically 2 scores well, actually you're only down 2 scores.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that with him and that Morton kid. They kind of switched quarterbacks in different situations, but I didn't have them winning anyway going into North Carolina State. If you check the last episode, I knew it was going to be a game, but I didn't think they were going to beat NC State. It was a low-scoring game based on what I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be more points, but NC State played some good defense. Donovan Smith threw 2 interceptions. So,
yes.
But yeah, I expected NC State to win. They'll be good in the ACC this year. Clemson will still win that conference, but NC State is good. Pitt is good. Wake Forest. It's a lot of good teams. Duke football, they even 3-0, which is crazy. So
man, hey, one of the announcers, one of the announcers talked about the Duke KU matchup.
Right.
Talking about the 2 undefeated the Duke and Kansas are meeting. He's like, and we're not talking basketball. he's like, right. And he looked at the other guy. He looked at the other guy and was like, "Can you believe that we're actually saying that Duke and Kansas are undefeated?"
Exactly. They play each other in basketball and football this year. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be pretty good. But I'm gonna tell you a game that I was just like, "What is going on? What in the world is going on? What is going on in the world in the world and in the water in Florida?" Florida escaped 31-28 over South Florida.
Yeah.
Jay, you're gonna have to help. Jay, you're gonna have to help me make some sense of this, man.
Look, Florida ain't as good as everybody think they are. I think they was overranked from what they ended the season with. They ain't got Tim Tebow out there no more. They ain't got Percy Harvin no more. All them dudes, man, they out of there. So I don't know why they ranked so high. So almost losing to South Florida. So we'll see. They got a good game next week, though. I think they play Tennessee or somebody coming up pretty soon. So we'll see. They might get hit upside the head against Tennessee, but they ain't that good.
Yeah, they play Tennessee. Yeah, that was just, I don't know. That game was just, because I wasn't watching the game. It just kept scrolling down the bottom of the TV, and I was doing something, and I just happened to look up, and I said, oh, score alert. What?
Yeah.
21. What? Wait, what's going on? And I'm like, y'all almost losing the South. Man, they better get something figured out down there. Or somebody's gonna be getting fed to the Gators. Somebody's getting fed some Gators. You know what I'm saying? But the Texas A&M Miami game was a pretty decent game, I thought, as well. Texas A&M ended up pulling that out 17-9, and if I'm not mistaken, they had lost to App State the week before, right?
Appalachian State beat them the week before. Appalachian State, they first 3 games have been nail biters. So they won off game-winning field goals. Yesterday they won off a 50-yard Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Whoa. To
go. So they 3-0. They all their games have been they've been the most exciting games every week, Appalachian State. So yeah, and they won another game, a surprising Hail Mary game. I don't think nobody want to pay people. These teams about to stop paying Appalachian State to come to their school and beat them up. Under that, they're gonna stop paying them for sure, because all these big schools got to pay them to come there. They're gonna stop paying these girls because they actually really good.
I'm about to say, because it's kind of funny. I mean, yeah, you want to pay somebody to come play, whatever, but you run that risk of them actually coming in and putting a knot on your forehead.
Coming in embarrassing you. Oh.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, hey, fam, that's because I mean, basically what happened to Nebraska, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That last game when their head coach got, I mean, that's basically they paid that school to come in to play them, and then they end up losing. Like, come on, yeah, you can't, no, you can't, I can't, you can't,
Georgia
you can't do
Southern.
that. Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do right now, Rashard. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna finish up talking a little bit more of college football. All right, so hey, y'all stick around, stay tuned for more Hey Coach. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're still rocking and rolling here on Hey Coach podcast. I'm still going strong with my man Jay Mondane. Still having some issues with Rashard, but hopefully we'll get all that taken care of so that way we can be at full strength. We do still have our producer Anthony Simpson, aka Iron Man, who is in the building. I don't think he's gonna pop on this show, but who knows? We might be able to coax him on here. But hey, let's. This is what I want to. Like, hey, how you doing? This is what I want to ask you, Jay. Okay, so we basically got 3 weeks of football in for college now. 3 or 4. Yeah. Okay, so we got 3 weeks of football in. Let's do some early predictions. Who do you think are going to be in the top 4 at the end of this season? Do you think it's going to be the usual suspects? Do you think somebody could end up jumping in there? What do you think?
From what I'm seeing now, after the first 3 weeks, I think Georgia will be in there. I think Oklahoma will be in there out of the Big 12. It'll be out of the power conferences. So I'll go Georgia, Oklahoma, Bama, and I don't know if anybody from out west, in Ohio State. That'll be the 4 that I would predict off the top. I'd say Ohio, those 4.
Now, could you see somebody like Michigan sneaking in there, or do you think they just don't have enough?
I don't know. So the crazy thing about Michigan being in the Big Ten is the Big Ten conference isn't that strong. So usually when it comes to those 4 teams, somebody's got to knock somebody out. So it's going to probably come down to that Ohio State-Michigan game at the end of the year based on their record. And looking at it right now, I mean, Michigan been blowing people out too. So it'll come down to that game probably who will win. I guess my prediction is that Ohio State will win that game. That's why I'm putting them in the 4. But the winner of that game, based on their record, it will be in there. So Michigan's got just as enough of a chance as Ohio State. But right now, I think Ohio State's a little bit better. So we'll see what happens down the road.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with that because I think there's, the ones you mentioned will more than likely will, I believe, be there. But, like we've always said, this is why we play the game, and that's what we go with. Yeah, and he's got they got the same.
We got 2 SEC schools, 2 SEC schools, 2 Big Ten. So they got the 5 we're talking about just without Oklahoma.
Right.
But I think Oklahoma. I think they're going to try to get a Big 12 school in there. If Oklahoma runs the table, they got to get in. And I don't see anybody in the Big 12 beat them. So
yeah, and I mean,
they won't leave them out. They won't leave them out if they undefeated and then Ohio State, Michigan play each other. Somebody got to lose that game.
Right.
So it'd be hard for me to see.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay, I can go with that. All right, now let's switch some gears here. All right, let's jump to NFL now. We've had week 1 was a headache. Week 1 was a headache. Lord, baby, Jesus, week 1 was a headache. So we're in week 2 now. Let's talk about the Monday night game. The Denver Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know. Uh, First of all, probably I didn't think it was going to be that low of a scoring game. Seattle ends up spoiling Westbrook's or Russell Wilson. I don't want please ends up spoiling Russell Wilson's return home, and they end up beating the Denver Broncos 17-16. So after seeing that game, what is, because I'm still pretty much in the same place when it came to both those teams, regardless. And I don't see them either one of them doing that well. But Russell gives them a little bit of help, but I just don't. So after seeing those two teams, what are your thoughts with that Monday night matchup?
Well, that game that concluded week 1 last week, and from all those games, the same thing I got from that Seahawks Broncos game is that these quarterbacks need to play in the preseason, because these games just sloppy as heck. Like they don't look good at all. For somebody that likes betting on sports, like I'm not doing any more parlays until October, because all these games look good. I'm over here ripping up my betting slips, messing around with these teams, man. So that game just showed it. Like Russell Wilson, he wasn't in sync with it. He wasn't in sync with his team at all. They have no rhythm. He didn't play. They said out of 9 quarterbacks that played last week, 7 of them lost, and out of them 7, they didn't play any preseason at all. And 2 of the teams played against each other that didn't play. So Tampa Bay and Dallas, because Dak and Brady didn't play in the preseason, somebody had to win, right? But out of 9 quarterbacks that didn't play in the preseason, 7 of them lost in week 1. So that tells me something. Like these dudes need to start playing in the preseason, even if it's 1 or 2 games, 1 or 2 series, but you need some live game action. So Russ didn't look like he was himself at all. Coming back home, you knew it was going to be an emotional game. You knew the defense was going to be ready for him. You knew the crowd. Obviously, they one of the loudest crowds in the NFL. So the play calling was kind of iffy. You know, I'm sure if you listen to Denver radio after that field kick, they had some choice words for that. But it was just a sloppy game, like you expect. Week 1 NFL, like these first 2-3 games are going to be real sloppy. But it just shows these quarterbacks, if they're healthy, they need to play in the preseason and be ready to play right away.
Yeah, and we touched on that in one of our previous episodes. We talked about these guys not playing in the preseason, this and that, and like I get it, because you're making your real money during the regular season games, but at the same time, you got to figure out, because practice is not going to get it done. Coming out, you got to be able to get some actual game feel to the game.
They're doing the NBA equivalent of load management, basically. Because they know they can't do it in the regular season. They use preseason as load management.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that too, because that's what it feels like. And now you're seeing that's like Aaron Rodgers when he did like last season. He came out and he just the first part of the season he just did not look good at all. But then he got his legs, he got his arm, he got his timing down with his receivers. They started connecting and they made a push. So that goes.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. They use that, like you said, load management, because they can't do it during the regular season. So it's sad.
With the exception of Brady. With the exception of Brady, like Brady's 65 years old out there still playing. Like, so of course you don't want him to exert any type of energy in August playing preseason games. Like I think he's played enough football. Like if he ain't ready now, he ain't gonna be ready. So
I think with Brady though, also, I mean it's like, well, I think maybe it might be the organization that says maybe we don't want you playing preseason, because a lot of the guys, like they even said, his teammates from New England, even from the Bucks, they said, yo, when Brady practices, he practices like he's in the game. Right. He's going like he in the game. So maybe that's them saying, look, man, we already know what you gonna do. You just sit this one out. You just go ahead and sit this one.
That's what I said. With the exception of him, he's got a proven track record. Plus, this summer he's dealing with Giselle Gate, so football's probably the last thing on his mind. So now that he's back playing, obviously, I mean they 2-0, so they figure it out slowly but surely. So I think he all right.
Well, the reports are, you talking about Giselle Gay. The reports are she's trying to give him an ultimatum about his career. Like, hey, you either need to retire or whatever. Like, I guess she's trying to go. She's trying to, because they're in Tampa Bay already. So, they already got the retirement homes down there. So I think she's just trying to get to that, get to the crochet class. All right, but let's move on. Now, the Thursday night game, that was a game. That was a good game. That was the Chiefs going against the Chargers at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yep.
That game, 27-24. That game did not disappoint at all. I knew he was going to get on this.
Go
I knew he was
Chiefs!
going to get a...
Go Chiefs!
I'm about to put the dump button on you.
He heard Chiefs. Jumped on and jumped off.
Yeah. He over there watching TV and everything. He ain't even paying attention to what we doing over here. He watching TV and also he gonna jump in. No Chiefs. It's all good, man. But everybody don't know. That was Iron Man, aka Tony Starks, the man with the gadgets. Anthony Simpson, our producer. I told you he might sneak in here. He might peek in here a little bit. But anyways, let's get back to the game. Chiefs ended up winning that game 27-24. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I was extremely concerned with something. And what I was concerned with was all those hits that Justin Herbert was taking. And it showed up at the end of the game when he was trying to throw the ball. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if he was 100% healthy, this might be another overtime game with them two guys, with those two teams. The way both Mahomes and Herbert were commanding those offenses. Oh man, what do you got to say about all that?
First, I'll say this. I saw a meme the other day. It was like it was a picture of Mahomes shaking hands with Justin Herbert after the game, and there was another picture with Mahomes shaking Josh Allen's hand after the game from Buffalo. And it says these two quarterbacks get more praise for almost beating Patrick Mahomes than he gets for actually winning the game.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny. It's like these dudes,
that is true,
everybody
though.
love Justin Herbert and Josh Allen for almost beating Mahomes. He get their number every time. But it's gonna be a duel between them two for a long time. So it's just fun. If you are a fan of the AFC West, you like those games because you got a quarterback that can actually match Mahomes stat-wise. But when it comes to winning time, the Chargers are gonna be the Chargers, unfortunately. But I think that kid's gonna be good, man. He was tough as hell in that game. They say he cracked like 3 ribs.
Yeah.
It was a third down where Jumper had to scramble and try to get rid of the ball, and he didn't have strength to even get and run.
Yes.
Down, and he threw a bullet, like a 20-yard bullet.
Yes.
So it just shows you, like, if he showed anything, there ain't no moral victories, but he tough as hell. I know that. And it's always fun watching them games. I went to the game last year when they played the Chargers. The Chargers actually won that game last year when he threw like 4 touchdowns in Arrowhead. So it's going to be back and forth throughout the remainder of their career. And that was just another good game in their story. I mean, they got to go to L.A. and play him back. But Justin Herbert played a good game. Mike Williams, this dude, I mean, he was catching.
Oh, we have a little issue with Rashard. Not Rashard, but Jay. We lost his video. That game was crazy. Okay, we back in. In a second. Okay, back. All right, good.
Yeah.
But no, you're 100% right about that.
Mike Williams. Say that again.
No, say you're 100% right.
Okay. Yeah, Mike Williams was catching everything. I mean, they was throwing everybody at him. I mean, it was fans coming out trying to guard him. It didn't matter. So it was crazy. So they just, I don't know. It's, with the Chargers, it's situational football. Like, that's the difference between them and the Chiefs. The Chiefs play championship level football when they need to. When it's situational, when they need the first downs, they know how to get them. When they got to convert on third down, they get it. The defense ain't the best defense historically in the last, in the Mahomes era. But when they need stops, they always get them somehow, some way. They figure it out. It's just they play situational football better than most teams, and that's how you win games. NFL, if you watch the NFL, every game, statistically, most games will be within one possession. All the games come down to one possession. So it's going to be situational football all the time. And the teams that are better at situational football usually win those games. And the Chargers just ain't there yet. So that's what it was in that game. But it was a good game to watch. Chiefs got the win. I picked the Chargers to lose in the loser pool, so I'm happy. I'm still in it, so it's all good.
It's still swimming, baby. I'm still swimming. Yeah, pull that comment back up. Yeah, I want to pull that comment back up.
Coaches.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So yeah, as coaches, when looking at long-term, is it sadness?
Long-term sadness.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. Where do you start with teams like the Jets, Bears, or Jacksonville to turn things around? For Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville. Well, actually, those are three really good teams. To ask this question about. I think the Bears they're starting to turn things around as far as, because you have to start with culture first. Start with your culture. Let the players know what's expected. Good things to do, bad things not to do, all that stuff. But if you start there and build that culture, because if you listen to a lot of teams that listen to a lot of players that played on championship team. I know Tom Brady talked about it when he talked about being in New England, and then even after going over to Tampa Bay, the culture of the organization.
Right.
It's like when you walk in the building, you like, man, I feel like a champion. Or I feel like I can do anything. You start with the culture. You start building those things around. Definitely got to work at it through the draft. But I think one of the most important things that leads into the culture part, and sometimes it's this piece that brings the culture part in, you got to find the right person to lead the team. You've got to find the right person. I'm not 100% sure who the Jets head coach is right now. Do you know that, Jay?
Robert Saleh. Okay. Yeah, they just won a big game. Today in Cleveland. And I wanted to talk about that game too.
We're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about that. Okay. So
in Jacksonville as well. Jacksonville made me rip up my parlay today. Thank you, Jacksonville, beating the Colts 24-0. But yeah, to answer this question, like you said, I'm gonna echo what you said about culture, right? The culture's got to be there, but you need leadership. You need a winning culture, people that want to come into the building and want to win, all the way from the ownership, all the way down to the people selling tickets. You got to want to win. And that's what people don't understand about professional sports. It's 32 NFL teams. There's literally 6 owners that think they can win a championship in any given year. So I hate to disappoint all you fans out here that's watching the Hate Coach podcast. There's about 6 teams. Less than 25% of the NFL owners believe they can actually win a Super Bowl. So the rest of them are there to make money. All right? They want butts and seats. They want you to have the illusion that your team's going to be great and they're going to win 50% of their games and maybe get to the playoffs every once in a while, but they're not trying to win a championship. For example, the Rams obviously they will do whatever it takes to win a championship. They buying players, they get whoever they need, building the stadium, like they're trying to get championships. There aren't too many owners that are willing to do that to their franchise. They just comfortable where they're sitting at. Jacksonville and the Jets, unfortunately, the Bears are franchises that are like that. So, long story long, to answer the question, ownership, it's got to come down to what leadership you got around players, and you got to get ballers, right? You got to get players that can actually play football and they know how to win. Dogs. And that's how you do it. The Bears up 7-3 now. We trying to win. We trying to do something. So maybe all 3 of them teams that you just mentioned will win the game today.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, because he talked about the Bears. You talking about that game, the Jets. They just, like you said, they got a big win. So I mean, the Bears might be able to pull it off. So I mean, it's all good. So I hope that happens. Now I'm not going to run through all these games on here. We're gonna hit some highlights. I will mention that my Patriots won 17-14. I will say that. But it's all good. I'm not going to talk about the game, though. But but I want to talk about hit a couple games. I know you mentioned the what game was that? The the Jets game. Yeah, Jets and Browns. We have the Jets and Browns I want to talk about. I want to hit on the Dolphins and the Ravens. Now, that game, game, Okay, so let's talk about these Jets. I'm sorry if you see me doing stuff. I've got a very aggressive, disrespectful gnat flying around here, and he's right now tearing my head up. So if y'all see me waving and everything, I am crazy, but not that crazy. I just got a really aggressive, disrespectful gnat. So just pray that daddy all over me. Let's tackle that. Let's tackle the game from earlier today. The Jets and the Browns. Now that game, I was like, are you serious? The Jets pulled that game out 31-30. Jay, you got to hit me with some knowledge on this game.
Listen, so the Browns were in complete control of the game the whole time. We get down to the fourth quarter, and Nick Chubb is having a great game. He's already got 2 touchdowns. I think he almost had 100 yards rushing. He gets an opening to run into the end zone. So this is what we talk about with situational football and teams that want to win championships and teams that don't understand how to win. Situational football. They're up a touchdown. It's 2 minutes left. All right. The Jets have no more timeouts. Instead of keeping the ball in bounds and just getting the first down and falling on the ground so they can take a knee and win, he runs in. So now he scores a touchdown. Everybody's cheering, fans are celebrating, but they don't understand the situation of the game. So now the Jets get the ball back. They march down the field, score a touchdown, onside kick, get it back, come down, score another point, and win by 1 point at the end of the game. Now Nick Chubb just falls and slides on the ground in the inbounds. Then you can just let the clock run. You don't have to, it's the difference between winning football and, just playing football. And that right there was just situational. You got to understand time and score. But for me personally, I even posted on Facebook. I said, if I was a Browns fan, I'd be mad as hell if I was a Browns fan. But I'm not. But I got Nick Chubb on my fantasy football. So I appreciate you, Chubb, getting that third touchdown for me, baby. That wasn't the smartest play if you try to win the game. But it's the best play if you got it for fantasy.
Yeah, but you say something that's one thing as a coach that I really try to hammer home with my players is that you got to understand what the game flow is. You got to understand. You got to be understanding what's going on around you, and you have to be able to make good decisions based off what you can pick up, around you. It's like if you got a player comes down and you got a good flow going to the offense, and then the next 2 or 3 possessions they just come up and jack a shot up, and you're not moving the ball or anything. Then you wonder why the team level is going down. Then you wonder why no one's really moving. And now what flow you had is gone because you're not staying aware of what the situation is going on. That happens way too much that I've seen here lately in especially in the NFL. To where guys they're just not doing that. And I don't think he was doing it for his numbers. I honestly do believe he just wasn't thinking.
Instinctual. It's instinctual. Yeah, and you're a running back. Your instincts tell you to score. When you see the end zone, your instincts tell you to score. It's just like they teach you, if you ever watch the games, special teams, right? My wife asked me this a couple years ago. They, how they kick the ball off, everybody runs into the end zone, even if it's a fair catch or, on a kickoff.
Yes.
She asked, why do the special teams players have to do that? Like, it's routine. Like, they practice that, running the full 100 yards, because you never know in the game if somebody coughs the ball up, you are mentally prepared to run the full length of the field. Same thing with running backs. Like, they are mentally trained if you see an opening, to go to end zone. Now, it just takes a next level of IQ that a lot of players don't have. It takes that next level of IQ to say, I see the first down marker, I can just fall right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't see that very often. So it ain't his fault that they lost, but he would have helped them win if he would have did that.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Now, I'll ask you this. I'll take it one step further.
Defense didn't help.
No.
I mean,
no.
Shouldn't scored on you guys either.
Yeah, I know. But I'll take your point one step and say this, that, no, it wasn't his fault, and yeah, it may be instinctual, but was it ever discussed on the sideline? That would be my question. Was it discussed on the sideline from the coaching staff? Hey,
there you go.
If we get first downs, fall down. If you get a first down, stay in bounds, fall down. They have no timeouts. Run the clock out.
You're absolutely right.
I mean,
there's a lot that plays into it. You thinking about dominating your opponent. There's a mentality. You're trying to send a message. A lot goes into it. But you're absolutely right. Like, the leadership from up top has to be like, hey, guys, like when they go out on their drive, like when the offensive coordinators, when the defense is out on the field, the offensive coordinator should be setting up situational football. All right, so for this drive, the clock's going to tick down to this. All we need is such and such first downs. Get to the yard, get to the first down marker, and we good. But players are instinctual, and you got ego, you got the heat of the game. That's why I said I wouldn't necessarily blame it on Nick Chubb that they lost. But if he would have fell at the first down mark, it would have helped them win. They got a better They would have better probability of winning. Still, the defense got to come out and stop the Jets. It is the Jets.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
It's the damn Jets. Okay, you couldn't stop the Jets. Coach Flacco, come on, man. So they deserve that.
Hey.
They lost at home. The reason they lost is because they got that leprechaun or whatever the hell that is in the middle of their field. Did you see that? Yeah. They mascot. It's like from the 1930s or something when Jim Brown was playing. But they got like one of the seven dwarfs in the middle of their field. They deserve to lose that.
He said the treasure trolls are out, baby. He said the treasure trolls was out. Boy, what in the world? Hey,
they deserve that hell, man.
Man, that was he said the seven dwarfs, boy. I hope. But anyways, let's move on to the Dolphins-Ravens game. Now that was another good game, and it really came down to it. And I'm telling you, man, I was wondering if they were able to give him the weapons. Could he take it to the next? Because I mean, we talked about it. Now this is one of those things. This is one of those things where we have to say, okay, now we've given you weapons to, can you do something with them? You know what I'm saying? And what I saw just today alone, I mean, from what Tyreek Hill was doing, Jalen Waddle was doing, and that the last touchdown they scored to go up, man, I'm telling you that game, and they ended up pulling that game out 42-38. What do you got for that game?
All right, so this is one of those games where they're going to talk about on all these big sports shows, did the Ravens lose that game or did Miami win that game, right? It's going to be a bunch of naysayers and pundits. They're not going to want to give Tua his due. The Miami Dolphins won that game.
Yes.
And Tua, look, if they got a game ball, they better give it to Tua Tagovailoa. He has to get it. 6 touchdowns. He threw 6 TDs. He threw for 460-some yards. He went crazy in the second half. Come on, man. You got to give it up to him. Just like you said, the question you just posed, if he gets the weapons, what can he do with them? It's a sample size. It's one game. But he just showed you with his back against the wall, against a team that he was not favored to beat on the road. They was losing the whole game. Lamar was going crazy. And he said, you know what? We got it. So, I mean, Tyreek Hill was sounding crazy all summer. And then we look and see what Tua was doing. It's like, what did he sound like? Was it really that crazy? What he was talking about?
Was he really that off?
He was throwing some bombs, too. It wasn't like he was dinking and dunking. You don't dink and dunk for 468 yards. You got to throw some 50, 2-yard bombs. And he was throwing bombs and hit with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek out there. Man, they might be a problem. If that defense can not give up 1,000,000 points, so Tua got to score 1,000,001, they gonna be a problem. They're gonna be a problem, man. That was impressive. I mean, he's got to get the game ball. Hey, Dan Marino need to get him a game ball after that.
Dan Marino bringing in one of his game balls he done won back in the day. But I'm gonna tell you that, like I said, that last drive that ended up putting him up, that pass he made to Waddle in the end zone. First of all, phenomenal catch. Phenomenal catch, because even though it was a great pass, he was draped by that defender. And he went and got that ball. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they, it stood tall, you know what I'm saying, doing the Jaden Waddle doing the Waddle in the end zone. Yeah. I'm kind of excited to see what this team's gonna do. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna, make the playoffs, but I mean, I'm not saying it's out of the picture.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. They're not in a good division. I mean, they got Buffalo, but they obviously can beat New England, and I don't think they're gonna have a problem with the Jets. So the AFC is a tough conference, but if they can, this is something for them to build on. I don't want to get all crazy and be like, the Dolphins,
I agree with that.
Back. Like, relax. But you got to give props when they do. It was a great game.
Yeah.
6 touchdowns, 400 and some yards on the road, back against the wall. They were losing the whole game. He brought them all the way back.
Yeah, I definitely give him props. So
you got to,
that was good.
For all the slight and all the everything that people say about Tua, you got to show him love after that game. Like, that was a great game. So Dolphins got it, man. Just another team, on my parlay that, made me rip it up. No big deal.
Well, let's talk about one. Let's talk about one more team, and then we're gonna talk about. Actually, you know what? On second thought, Anthony, let's take a quick break. We're gonna take a real quick break. We'll be back with more head coach podcast, because this one, I'm hoping Rashard's at least watching the podcast, because So we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back with more the Head Coach podcast.
I already know.
Hey, we are back. You already know who it is. I'm one of your hosts, Tim Simpson. I'm joined right now with Jay Mondane, 1/3 of the head coach. Still missing Rashard. But I don't know, maybe our producer might pop in on this one. I don't know, because we about to go ham on this one. Because there was a lot of stuff going. There's a lot of stuff to break down on this, I'm Rashard, if you are watching or listening, I am kind of glad you're not on this episode, because I don't think we'd be able to give you the emotional support that you would need for this next one. But brother, just get somewhere. Let somebody hug you, hold you, and tell you it's gonna be all right. Let's talk about this Cardinals and Raiders game. The Raiders.
I picked them to win, dude. Man. I picked them.
29-3 is the final score. But what blows my mind, Jay? What blows my mind? At one point, they were up 23-3, weren't they?
23. It was 23-7. It was 23-0, and then
okay. So what?
It was 23-0, and then Arizona scored in the third quarter, and that was it for the Raiders. Raiders didn't score no more. They lost 29-23. But man,
that blows my mind. Okay. Before you finish, I'm gonna ask you this question, and I'm gonna let you go on. What do you think is crazier?
All right,
Raiders not scoring another touchdown or another single point period, for the rest of that game, or the Cowboys not scoring a touchdown in their game, in the first game. Now they won. That was a pretty good game too against the Bengals.
Yeah, they beat Cincinnati. Yeah.
Yeah, but in their first game, the first game when they played against Tampa, they didn't score a touchdown at all.
What was crazier is this Raiders game, because the Raiders had the game won. Like, Arizona looked terrible. Like, listen, I've never seen a game where a coach in the first half looked like they were going to be fired at halftime to being carried off the field in the second half at the end of the game. Like, Cliff Kingsbury's job, he was in a hot seat at halftime. I was like, man, there's gonna be a pick flip in this dude's locker room when he get in there. They looked awful. They looked so bad. I watched the whole game. They looked so bad, Tim. Like, they couldn't get nothing right. They was getting ran up and down the field. Their defense looked bad. Kyler Murray looked terrible. They was dropping passes. They looked like they went out in Vegas Saturday night. Like, they looked like they was at the Triple G Canelo fight last night and came in and tried to play a football game. They did not look ready to play. The second half come and they look like the Arizona Cardinals team that won 8 games last year straight. That went 8-0 to start the season without Nuke Hopkins. I was like, okay, they look like they looking good, but that first half, they look hungover, man. I was like, damn, they was partying last night with Triple G and Canelo, and then and then Kyler Murray just basically said, all right, y'all don't want to help, I'm gonna do this. So he turned into Steaming Willie Beeman. Back-to-back 2-point conversions. Just running around schoolyard football, man. He was making it happen. They showed a play during the 2-point conversion. He had the ball for 20 seconds before he ran in the end zone. He literally, picture this, is 2-point conversion. They scored a touchdown. 2-point conversion. They hiked the ball. They usually do the 2-point conversion like the 5-7 yard line, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Kyler hikes the ball. This dude runs all the way back to like the 29, 30 yard line, running in circles, dodging linemen, weaving in and out. And then he runs all the way back across the field and runs in the end zone. It took like 20 seconds for him to score the 2-point conversion. Like, he was just,
he said that man out there, he said there's somebody on the sideline with an Xbox or PlayStation controller playing Madden in real life.
somebody was controlling this dude the second half. Like, he was running all over the place. Any first down they needed, if they couldn't get open. Shout out to the Raiders secondary, because nobody could get open. So, but Kyler Murray just had to make it happen. Like, he had to scramble for every first down they needed, every touchdown. He threw a bullet in to send the game to overtime. He threw a bullet in to AJ Green at the buzzer, tied the game at 23. And then in overtime, they got a scoop and score, like a 50-yard scoop and score for a touchdown, and they ended up winning the game. But when that game got to overtime, I told my wife before I even came down to start the show, I was like, the Raiders ain't winning this game. Like, they have no momentum. They ain't scored in an hour and a half, real time. I was like, they ain't winning. There's no way they're gonna win, and there's no way they're gonna pick up themselves after being deflated like that and win in overtime. And they did. All the momentum was gone. The stadium was quiet. Like, it was over.
Man, what gets me though, it's like, most time we talk about this game, it's like, oh, the team hasn't scored in last 5-10 minutes, or the team hasn't scored in this quarter, but they literally didn't score for over an hour and a half.
Like, an hour and a half, real time. They did not score at all. It was crazy.
Like, I can't wrap my mind around that.
It looked like two different teams. Look, it looked like the Cardinals hung out with Triple G in the first half, and then it looked like the Raiders hung out with Triple G in his locker room in the second half after he got beat last night in Vegas. It looked terrible, man. Two different teams. It looked like two different games.
Man, I'd say that. But you know what? I will say this. That game is kind of how I envision Kyler Murray for his career. To be that type of player, to do those kind of things. He can make the passes, but he's like a definitely significantly shorter version of Mike Vick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So little.
So little, like Kevin Hart.
They showed that pass. So they showed the game-winning pass or the game-time pass to AJ Green. And they showed it from behind him. So you see how he's so damn little. Like, all the line. So I'm looking at the throw. I'm like, how the hell did he even see him? Like, how do you see where AJ Green gonna be? Like, it was crazy.
To me, that alone makes him an extremely impressive quarterback to me. Because I still don't understand. You know, I don't understand how he is able to do that. So it's like, you know, you really have to really trust. Yeah. So it's like you really have to, number one, trust your receivers. They're gonna because you know we know as a quarterback you're not throwing to that person, you're throwing to where they're going. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, you're throwing to a spot and you're just hoping they're gonna be there. Like at halftime, I don't even think he can see the spot.
He just knows where to throw it on the field.
Yeah, that is really getting on me, boy. But it's just amazing. I think it's amazing to me. You know, he's a pretty good quarterback, and I'm hoping that he. You know, it starts to get going on track for him. It starts to click for him a little bit better. Let's touch on that. The Cowboys, Cincinnati game real quick. And the reason why I want to touch on this because what's going on in Cincinnati?
Super Bowl hangover.
It's a real thing. I'm trying to tell you.
Only thing I could think of is a Super Bowl hangover. The fact that Burrow had an appendectomy in the offseason, so he didn't play in the preseason. A player that young in the league needs all the reps they could get. So you got to remember, this is only technically his second year playing. Like his rookie year, he tore his ACL by like week 3 or 4, so he was out. Last year he played a full season to go to the Super Bowl, and then you got this season. So he still hasn't played enough football to be missing out on OTAs, preseason games, stuff like that. So their timing's off. Like he's got a connection with Jamar Chase. He's got a connection with Jamar Chase. They like Montana and Rice, Aikman and Irvin. Like they connected. It don't matter what they do. And they played in college together, so it may be that. But with everybody else, like they just not in sync. Their offensive line is terrible. So there's that. And like Burrow can only do so much with a bad offensive line and no continuity with the rest of the team this early. I mean, what do you expect? Like they're not going to be as good as they were last year. You know, luck ran out, like he's saying. It could be some of that. I think obviously defensive coordinators make their money in the offseason. So they're going to see what Cincinnati was doing well last year and they're going to exploit. So everybody's exploiting that offensive line. I thought the offensive line would have got better from last year, but they obviously didn't. But at the same time, teams, this is what happens when you win, right? If you're a good team, everybody's going to gun for you. So everybody is going to treat Cincinnati when they play them as if they won the Super Bowl last year. Even though they were the runner-up, they made it. So everybody's going to play them just like they're going to play the Rams. Like, y'all made it to the Super Bowl. We got to treat y'all like Super Bowl caliber team. So I think the element of surprise is over. You know, everybody knows who they are, and it's going to be tough. I mean, you lose to Cooper Rush. That's kind of like you shouldn't be losing to Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, but you know, that's why we play the game, right?
So my question is, for like a lot of these teams, okay, because you said, like you said, element of surprise is gone, right? So what teams that have had some success that they've had that opportunity to have element of surprise on? Because when I'm thinking about this question, I'm thinking about teams like Arizona. You know how they had that 8-0 run. I'm thinking about Cincinnati. I'm thinking about I was originally thinking about the Bills or something, but the Bills are for real. But some of the teams we were talking about that may have had some success. But heck, Miami kind of falls in that right now. But at the same time, now that's okay. I'm gonna ask that question. Okay, so what teams do you think that have the element of surprise that are actually pretty decent teams that could actually maybe do something versus the other teams that was your one time, you had a chance. You're probably not going to be as good as what you had, the success you had that last time.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the beauty of the NFL, what they do is, and most people probably don't notice this, or the average fan probably doesn't understand it, is the NFL is designed for teams to go 500. They want parity in the league. That's why schedules are the way they are. Like I can predict what a schedule is going to look like before it even happens because I know which divisions play when at what time. Like I know when the Bears play the Chiefs every 4 years, right? The schedules are designed for parity. So that's number one. So because Cincinnati won their division, and when you win your division, you play a first place schedule the next season. So the Cincinnati Bengals were the number one team in the AFC North. So they're going to have to play the number one team in the AFC East, the number one team in the AFC West, the number one team in the AFC South. And then they got to play the number one teams everywhere else. So that's just the way the schedule works, number one. So you come from worst to first, you're going to have to play the best team. And then another thing, Phil Jackson says that the old coach of the Chicago Bulls, like, you're only successful when you perform a successful act. Like you have to do it again. That's what success is. You have to continue to sustain success in order to be successful. So they were successful in 2021. This is a whole new year. So in order to be a top-tier team, you have to do it again. I.e. the Chiefs. The Chiefs are currently in an era where they are successful. They've been to 4 straight AFC championship games. They've been to the Super Bowl. They've won Super Bowl. They've lost Super Bowl. They're successful. They're sustaining their success. The Buffalo Bills are trying to get to that point. The Bills are dominating their conference now. They are the team to beat. They have the odds makers of Vegas. They got them the Super Bowl favorites. Now they have to just get over the hump. That's all it is. I mean, just sustaining success in the NFL is very hard because the schedule changes all the time. And Cincinnati is just learning that. They're a young team. Remember, they're one of the youngest teams in football, and they haven't won anything yet. So now Cincinnati is winning. There's expectations, and everybody's gunning for them. So that's just, it's the beginning of the year, and they're dealing with it. I think if they are good, they're going to show us here in the next month how good they really are if they can adjust to it. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just like I said. I think some of these teams they're decent teams, but some of them is because of where they're playing at, and some of them, like we talked about when it came to some of the other stuff. A lot of owners they just trying to make sure they're making their money. They ain't really trying to win a championship. They can talk like they are, but they really are not. So I mean, that's unfortunate if it is, but. I mean, it's one of those things. It still remains to be seen. I like the direction where a lot of these teams are going, especially with the quarterbacks. Because we talk about Tua, we talk about Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, of course, Patrick Mahomes, and then you got some of these other ones. Yeah, Joe Cool, Yeah. So I'm looking at like you look at some of these squads, man. Some of these they've got some pretty good pieces. I mean, it's still. I'm still kind of on the fence with Mac Jones. I think he'll have a pretty decent career, but I'm not saying he's like, I mean, he could be the next. Well, I'm not gonna say. No, I'm not saying that. No. I'm not about to spill no.
Don't overstep.
Yeah, I ain't gonna blast. I ain't gonna do no blasphemy like that, man. Let me just stop. Let me just stop right there. But let's tackle the game you're watching right now. And that's the Packers and the Bears. I believe it's 10-7 Packers, right?
It is, yeah.
Going into the second quarter.
It's second quarter now. 10 minutes left of the second. Bears just punted to them. 10-7. It's a pretty good game. I mean, it's a rivalry. We haven't won very many games recently, but any divisional game, you know what each team's going to do. And I think that's what this is. First half, they're just figuring each other out. Bears came out and scored early, got a nice touchdown, Justin Fields, and Green Bay responded. So now we're in the thick of the game. We'll see what happens. We'll see what adjustments are made, but I picked the Bears to win, and not necessarily because I'm a Bears fan. I don't think Green Bay is going to be that good this year, if I'm being honest. They got a young receiving core. Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust them. And if you see his body language from week one, like if they're not on the same page with him, he's just going to whine about it. That's just kind of the type of person he is, just like old boy that used to play for him. We'll get into him later.
Oh
So
yes.
that's just the way they are. So I don't see them. I don't see them doing well this year. They may beat us, but I just overall, like big picture, I don't see Green Bay doing anything. I think their team was better last year, and they couldn't get over the hump. So I don't see these young guys doing any better. So we'll see what happens tonight, though. Hoping for a win. They'll be good for us. They'll be good for the locker room. But big picture, I don't see Green Bay doing much either.
Yeah, and it's funny to me how the Green Bay organization has been over these last few years, with basically seemingly looking like Aaron Rodgers holds that team hostage almost every year.
Looks eerily similar to the last guy.
Yeah, it does, and that's a perfect segue into well. Before we do that, I want to talk about your Bears. Now, what are some of the positive things that you're seeing from the Bears now, especially with Justin Fields getting a chance with the new head coach, hopefully with the new direction of what the organization is doing? What are some things that you like? What are some things you're concerned about?
The positives about that is his team. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder. Andy Dalton in there. Kyle Orton in there from back in the day. Who's the guy that did the Philly special? Who we had?
Jim McMahon.
No, against Patriots. No, against the Patriots. He played for Philly. He won the Super Bowl with Philly.
Oh, you're talking about
We had him as a backup last year.
Yeah.
So these guys are all gone. So as a young quarterback, you don't want to look over your shoulder. You want to be able to play free, learn the system with a new head coach, new GM, and play. So that's a positive. I think that everybody knows whose team it is. Everybody knows he's the starting quarterback. He's going to play. They got to ride and die with him. So I think that helps. He has chemistry with Moody, our number one receiver. He's got some chemistry there. We got David Montgomery, who's a good running back. Our defense has always been a staple. The Bears have always had a good defense. That's never been a question. So I think those are the positives. The negatives is just the learning curve. He's got to learn on the job. He's got to learn quick. Contrary to popular belief, I know y'all see the NBA champion Bulls back there, but Chicago is a Bears town. I know it. I don't try to front about it. I'm a basketball player. Grew up in the Jordan era watching the Bulls. But if the Bears win a Super Bowl, that town will go crazy. Like, it's a Bears town. They want the Bears to be good. We are starving for the Bears to be good. So that they will be. That being said, the learning curve, man, you have to win. He has to win fairly quick in Chicago. Like, in a big city like that, you have to win in 2-3 years, or at least show us progress. Trubisky bought some time because with Matt Nagy, we won the division, we won the NFC North, and we went to the playoffs. So it's like, okay, and Nagy got coach of the year. Trubisky made it to a Pro Bowl. It's like, all right, okay, he's just getting started. This will buy him 2 or 3 years, and then we just got terrible.
Real quick.
It's like, no, we don't have time for that. Time's running out. Like, Virginia McClaskey, the owner, is one of 2 female owners in the NFL. Nick Foles, there you go. 1 or 2 owners in the NFL that are women, and Virginia McClaskey is 98 years old. Like, she really doesn't have time to be watching us lose. So with that being said, that would be the negative. Like, when you're in a big market like Chicago, New York, LA, you have to win. Like, your fans want it, the radio station, the media. Like, we have a very short fuse for losing teams. So I would say that's the negative. The positive is, though, it's his team. He can grow, and they can groom him and get the playbook to his liking, to his style of play, like they do with a Tua in Miami, or up in Baltimore.
Jackson. Yeah.
Like Lamar Jackson. We can get in Buffalo, they got Josh Allen. That's Josh Allen's playbook. So we have time to do that, but we need to do it while winning. So that's the thing. If we're winning 4 games a year, we don't care how good, or we're not ready to wait for, he's got potential. 4 wins ain't gonna cut it. You got to win You got to win 8, 9 games, or at least be in the hunt to go to the playoffs by Thanksgiving. Like, we don't want to be sitting and watching Thanksgiving games and we know we out of the playoff race, you know. So that's what it is.
Yeah. Potential don't win you a lot of champiomships. You know, you got to show that you're actually doing something.
Exactly.
And like I said, with all the quarterbacks and teams and other the ones you mentioned, I really hope, I'm really looking to see what's going to happen with them, how their careers are going to shape up, and what they're doing. But let's talk about something that I didn't know. Wow, Brett Favre. What's going on with my man here? What in the world, Jay? Seriously, he got paid. What was this? It was 10. It was 10 speeches he was supposed to make at the school, and he only did one. Seriously, are we serious, right? Jay, I'm gonna have to go ahead.
All right. So number one, that's the least of the issue with Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Not doing what he's saying he's gonna do. I mean, he's been doing that since he was a football player in league. Not being accountable. Holding Green Bay hostage for all these years. Went to the Jets, took inappropriate pics with the phone with the media lady up there in New York. All types of stuff. Like, I mean, obviously the dude he's just a bad person. Like, he's got poor character flaws up and down. He's been an addict for, he had addiction with pills when he was a player. Like, nobody says anything good about this guy. If it wasn't for John Madden in the 90s, nobody would care who Brett Favre was. He hyped this dude up so much back in the 90s. He played all these years. He won 1 Super Bowl, and everybody tries to treat him like he the next John Elway or the next Peyton Manning, and he ain't on their level. Like, he ain't even on Big Ben's level to me. Like, he won 1 Super Bowl, and it's because their defense and their running game was great. He used to run around and just throw a bunch of interceptions, throw the ball up in the air, and hope everybody would catch it and get touchdowns. And then John Madden would jump up and down for this dude on Fox. I had to watch it every Sunday in Chicago. I had to watch this dude play. That's number one on the football side. All right. Now to the personal side. He's from the state of Mississippi. Okay. This is what he's done. This is the despicable stuff he's done. He's from the state of Mississippi. The state of Mississippi is the poorest state in the U.S. They have the most dropouts in school. They have the most teen pregnancies. They have the lowest income, the worst education, all these things. This guy, in conspiring with the governor of Mississippi, took upwards of $5 million from welfare, from the state, to put it into a volleyball arena for a school his daughter played for. Now, mind you, he's made over $100 million for his career playing football, doing icy hot commercials, copper fit, all type of shit, still throwing passes, Terry Rice, making all type of money. $5 million of poor people's money. It ain't even like he taking money from, like, he ain't taking money from like Beverly Hills or anything like that. Like, these are the poorest, most disenfranchised. And it ain't about white or black or anything. It's about class and being a human being. This dude is taken from the poorest of the poor. And it's his own damn state. He's taken from the poorest of the poor. Saying, I'm going to do all these personal interviews and I'm going to do all these, speeches and all this stuff. Doesn't show up to that. No accountability for this dude. In cahoots with the government, taken from welfare. Like, these people don't have the money at all. And the money they're supposed to get, he's taking it and pocketing it. And to add insult to injury, this dummy, because him and technology don't work at all, he's already down 2-0 to technology. They got this dude on text messages saying, if we take this money, the media ain't going to find out about it, right? Come on, man. So we got all this going on. with taking money from basically from the government, with a governor helping you do it, but Colin Kaepernick gets kicked out of the league because he's taking a knee about police brutality. Come on, man.
You know, I was really wondering if we were going to get to it. I was hoping because that was going to be my point. Because when we sit up here, we're talking about this stuff, and it's like, you know, this dude's still a Hall of Famer. You know, this dude's, you know, he still got a championship ring. This dude, you know, they're still going to this dude about this, and that, and yet still he's been doing all this stuff. And for somebody who was actually trying to stand up for something they believed in and draw more attention to it, basically gets railroad, blackballed out of the NFL, and has not had a starting job since then, or even a backup job since then. You know what I'm saying? That shows me a lot about what goes on when we talk about these issues, man. Nothing's really. I'm not gonna say nothing's changed, but nothing's really gotten better. You know, and when I see about this stuff, and you know, and I think, you know, worldwide, I'm not gonna say worldwide, but you know, here it's pretty bad. But when you talk about some of these athletes or movie stars or this and that they do a lot of the same stuff, but yet they continue getting movie roles, they continue getting jobs. You know what I'm saying? Within whatever their sport that they're having. But like I said, somebody who actually stands up for something, like Mahmoud Abdul. You know what I'm saying? When he decided to stand up,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and for his, then he was out in the NBA. It's like, what are we really? What's the message that we're really trying to send here? That as long as you fall in, to go ahead.
Finish what you're saying, man. Finish what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying, like what message are we trying to send? If it's like, yo, this is a serious issue that potentially could affect everybody. You know what I'm saying? But right now, it's just so-called, let's say it's affecting this group of people. You know what I'm saying? But if somebody doesn't bring attention to it, then this stuff's going to just keep happening. So let's bring attention to it. Oh, wait a minute. You bring attention to stuff, and a lot of time maybe you bring attention to something that somebody actually knows doing this stuff. So I need you to be quiet. You know what I feel like, man. Go ahead, man. Come on.
Why is this dude not arrested yet?
It's a good question, because as far as I know, there's no reports of him being arrested.
I have not heard any police investigation and none of that. Like, he's literally on text messages caught with evidence saying, I don't want anybody to find out. With government. Like, he's doing this with the governor of Mississippi. Like, I don't hear anybody talking about law enforcement, nothing going on about what this dude has done. Like, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Double standard. And it's a guy who's continuously done this throughout his life.
His whole career, yep.
He's done stuff like this his whole career. I don't even know.
Yes.
I'm not even surprised. The only thing I'm surprised about is that the fact that it went to that amount of money that he was.
Yeah.
The fact that he's taking from people in his own state, like he's taking from his own people for his own self-interest. I'm surprised by that. But if you'd have told me, hey, about 15, 20 years after Brett Favre retired, he gonna get in trouble for doing some shady stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay. Check out. That's the type of dude he is. Like, I'm not surprised at his character. I'm not surprised at his character at all. But I'm surprised is that the lengths he went to do this. Like, and his daughter is just involved with it. Like, so what type of person are you? So it's crazy, man. The type of people that we got out here, and everybody glorify this dude. You know, he win one Super Bowl, and you know, John Madden loved him so much on TV, and you know, he made a couple Copperfit commercials, and now we're supposed to be like, oh, it's all good. Like, come on, man, get out of here. If anybody else if Michael Irvin would have did that, they'd have tried to throw him in jail. If Shannon Sharp would have did that for the state of Georgia, they'd have tried to throw him in jail. I ain't trying to hear that, man. Get this dude out of here.
I'm starting to think you have a problem with Copperfit, man. What's going on here?
Oh, I got a problem with him. And it don't help that he played for Green Bay, so I had extra venom. Out of here, man.
You sound like Eminem with that venom. Man, but hey, okay, we're gonna end the show with we're gonna talk about and basically we're gonna do a rapid fire run through these games about the upcoming games coming in for the NFL. Rapid fire. who do you got favorite for these games? And a quick why. Okay, so we got tomorrow night. We got the Titans versus the Bills. They're playing in Buffalo. Who are you taking?
I got Buffalo at home. It's a home opener for them. They ain't played since last Thursday. They itching to play. I think they just got too much offense. Tennessee don't look like they can. I don't think Tennessee gonna be able to score with them, honestly. So I'm taking Buffalo.
Okay. All right. Next game. Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles playing in Philadelphia.
Ooh,
What you got?
That's a tough one. Philly played good last week, scored a bunch of points, but they let Detroit come back and almost win. Detroit going to be better than a lot of people think this year too, FYI. But Minnesota came out firing. I mean, they got so many damn weapons. Kirk Cousins looked good. Justin Jefferson looked like he trying to be the next Jerry Rice. They still got Dalvin Cook. That's going to be a good game. That game may be closer than anybody think it would be. I would say turnovers is what's going to decide the game. If you had to ask me who's going to turn the ball over more, Jalen Hurts or Kirk Cousins, I would say Kirk Cousins would turn the ball over more on the road. So I'm going to say Philly wins that game.
Okay. All right.
Philly wins a close one.
Okay. Now, a game that I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing mainly because of defenses. I just want to see a few of these players that are going to be on defense. And that's the Steelers and the Browns. They're playing in Cleveland.
Okay.
Because we know TJ Watt. TJ Watt is out. But they still got Hayward, and that dude is a beast. And then you got
Mika
Garrett. Yeah, and you got Garrett on the other side of defense football for Cleveland. I just want to see if this is going to be that hard head-to-head defensive, like which defensive team is going to have the will, and which offense is going to make the least amount of mistakes. So who are you taking in that game?
I'll take the Browns in that game. They're going to be so damn mad when they watch the tape on Tuesday for what they did today. They're going to be so mad. And hopefully they remove that Keebler elf off they 50-yard line. And I think they know how important it is for them to win this divisional game. Jacoby Brissett over Trubisky. I got to take Brissett at home.
Okay. All right. I like that. Now, I think this game is the Steelers Brown game is Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about two games that are going to be on next Sunday. Just because of the teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's the teams that and that's the first one is the Buffalo Bills going into Miami to play the Dolphins.
Ooh.
You're talking about two teams that can definitely put points up on the board.
Yes.
My question is this going to come more down to the defense, or is the offense going to reign supreme here?
Definitely take the over.
Okay.
Definitely take the over. But no, this will be a game. So everybody thinks that Buffalo will win the Super Bowl because of their defense, right? We talk about Josh Allen. We talk about their offense, how explosive they are. But the reason people think that they are going to get over the hump is because of that secondary and what they did to the Rams on Thursday night in week one. Yeah, they beat them up. They bullied them. So, and looking at what Tua just did to a decent defense, they're not great. They're decent. Playing at home in Miami, people always have trouble in Miami. That's going to be a good one, man. I don't know who can win that one. If I'm guessing, I'll say Miami will win it at home. I'll go out on a limb with the upset. I'm sure Buffalo will be favored, but I'll say Miami will win. And this is, I'm not living in the moment or anything like that, because of what I saw today. I'm just thinking it's tough to play in Miami.
Yeah.
They can score, but I want to see how good we're going to see if Buffalo defense is for real next week. Let's just say that.
Yes.
We'll see if this will be a test for that defense on the road in Miami. And it's always tough to win there. Hell, Brady could barely win there half the time. So
yeah.
So this will be a tough for Josh. This will be for Josh Allen in the defense. This will be a test for them. So I'll go Miami with a surprise upset.
All right. And then the last game I want to talk about, the battle of the Walkers. Green Bay Packers going against Tampa Bay Bucks. Yeah, you get my reference now, huh? They're playing it. Yeah, Senior Citizen game. Yeah,
Citizen Bowl. Yeah.
But you got Tom Brady taking on Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady, who all know is 45, and I mean he's still Tom Brady. So you got him coming in, or him playing at home against Aaron Rodgers, who just, I mean, like we said earlier, I think he sat under Brett Favre way too long. What do you got? Who do you got in that game? And what do you think? What are your thoughts on that game?
Senior Citizen Bowl. It's in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's in Tampa Bay. So at least they got good weather. So their bones will be okay. Joints.
Yeah, they got some good weather for sure. Tampa Bay got a bunch of injuries, but today they figured out a way to beat. Now that's a game where New Orleans beat themselves. I mean, Jameis Winston just threw three passes to the wrong jerseys in the second half. Like, it was actually a good game. And then he remembered, I used to play for Tampa Bay. Let me start throwing them.
Hey guys, catch, go deep, go deep.
Jameis being Jameis, looking for crab legs. So in the second half, I think I go with Tampa Bay at home against Green Bay. I told you earlier in the show, I don't think Green Bay is that good this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't think they're that good. They're going to beat the teams they're supposed to beat, but when it comes to big games, I don't see them winning the big games. This is going to be a big game, and I just don't see them losing this game. Brady's real good at correcting mistakes after losses.
Yes,
they play at home. They had a couple guys that didn't play this week because they were hurt. So if those guys come back, Mike Evans probably won't get suspended for fighting in this game. So I think Tampa Bay will win that one.
And I'm all for offensive linemen and receivers, running backs, protecting your quarterback. But I mean, you could have at least went over there and shoved him a little bit. I mean, he went over there like he was at the bar and the man just made a comment about his wife's dress or something.
Right.
Was Googling his wife or something, like like on the 5 Heartbeats. You're like, where my woman at? Why is every time I gotta come in the club, I gotta fight for my woman love? You know what I'm saying?
Every night I gotta fight to prove my love. Yeah,
I was saying that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like there. But no, I mean I agree with you on that. It's like I said, Green Bay they've lost, like I said, they've lost too many people. They're hurt. They're banged up pretty bad. But once again, like in all we always say, this is why we play the games. So we will definitely find out when those games are coming up. Hey, give us a quick update on that Bears game.
Still 17-7, getting close to halftime. Green Bay's driving. They're in the red zone. They're showing a replay of a catch right now. It's 35 seconds left. Green Bay's on looks like they're 2nd and 1. They're on like the 9-yard line, trying to score before half. So I think the Bears get the ball at halftime or at second half. So Green Bay trying to score on them. So see what this red zone defense look like. We came out in the second half last week and played a little better than the first half. It was also a tsunami in Chicago, so that helped. Green Bay just scored a touchdown pass to Alan Lazard. So now they'll be up 24-7.
Okay. Cool. Oh, that's good. Well, We'll see. Anthony, when you get a chance, throw the social media banner up for us. So once again, this is a great show. I want to thank everybody who was able to get on, the comments and everything that we were able to view and everything. Jay, you were phenomenal as always. Anthony, our producer, Richard was not able to join us this episode. We are going to get his stuff figured out so we can get him on here because we definitely miss him. And he just brings another element to the show. But like you see at the bottom, scrolling down, you got our podcast, social medias. You can check us out on Facebook at Timothy Richard Jamal. You can check us out on Twitter at Hey Coach Podcast and on Instagram at Hey Coach Podcast. You can also find us if you're looking for the audio version of the show. You can go to anchor.fm/Hey Coach T. That's for you can catch us. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Spotify is usually our big one because I'm able to do some different things like with music and stuff like that on there. So it's a little different. It's a little different on that show, but I mean it's the same thing. Just you don't get to see our beautiful faces. So sad for you. As you see, I'm rocking my U.S. Army flag, showing support to my brothers and sisters that are out there that are deployed. And if you are here back in the States, just remember you always got somebody there to care for you. So don't ever think you gotta do anything alone. Okay, I learned that the hard way. Jay, do you have any parting words for the show?
I don't, man. Thank you guys for chiming in. Hope to see you next week. We're going to get Rashard back. We need our boy back here. It ain't 1/3 of the head coach without the third, baby. So we need him to come on back. And
Yes.
somebody take a trip down to Mississippi and arrest that dude, man. All right? Stop playing.
Man, I'm thinking about putting in my certifications for a bounty hunter. I'll just go take care of it real quick and then
Man,
retire
go
when
get
I
Dog
get
the
back.
Bounty Hunter or something like that, man. Get this dude off the street. Or he gets the welfare money. This dude out of here.
Yeah, I know, right? Anthony, did you want to come on and say anything? Are you good? You can just give me a thumbs up. Oh yeah, okay, there you go. You're muted.
He on mute. He used to be behind the scenes. He ain't used to talking. You on mute, my man.
Now I
There you
should
go.
know better than anybody, right?
You should.
Shut up. No, great show, guys. Yeah, I would put my little 2 cents in on my boy Favre there. It's not surprising. We lift up those that we want to. I mean, you could look across the board. I mean, they sent Michael Vick to prison. Now, I got a dog. I love dogs. But I eat chicken every once in a while. They got chicken fights. They got. I mean, I'm just saying. There's.
Yeah.
If you were to even logically weigh the severity of what this brother did, in fleecing our money that was aside for people who don't have, who are struggling, who are just trying to make it. It's just
Sick.
it's
Sick, man.
It's super unfortunate, and our swift justice is neither one. It's neither swift or it's just. But we hope that in the long run, people do the right thing. I mean, I'm still surprised we're not outraged over Flint, Michigan. I mean, it just, it's a headline for a minute, and then because it don't affect other people. I mean, I keep seeing these reports here in Kansas City about the opioid epidemic. I'm like, bruh. Drug overuse is not new to the United States of America, but it's it is what it is. It's unfortunate. We hope that things like this bring light to that enough pressure is put on the powers that be that they don't have a choice but to do something and show that justice will be served. But anyway, good show. Appreciate you guys. I will see you on the flip side.
Most definitely. And the only thing I got to say is, once again, thank you everybody for joining us. For those who were able to join us live, for those future viewers, thank you for watching this episode of Hey Coach. I am Coach Tim Simpson, joined always by Jay Mondane. My name is Rashard Collins, and of course, our wonderful producer Anthony Simpson. So you guys have a wonderful day. Be good and stay blessed. See ya.
Peace.
Peace.